Welcome back to Home Gym Hacks and Reviews. Today I want to do something a little differently and create a video geared more for beginners, especially people with limited equipment. However, I think even the most advanced lifter will find takeaways from this video. I got inspired to make this video after selling my Streamline functional trainer, and I wanted to replicate some of the exercises that I used to do on that machine. First off, a word of caution. Try anything shown here at your own risk. I'm sure you've all seen those videos where people have too much band resistance on a power rack and they're doing an exercise and they flip the rack over. That's usually because either the rack isn't bolted down or they don't have enough plates on the rack. Right now I have 845s on mine. In this video I'll be using bands from Powertec, but you will need 2 of those packs for some exercises, or bands from Elite FTS. My revolving D handles, which came off of my first Powertec Streamline functional trainer, and my Powertec Power Rack, which has the height extenders on the pull-up bar. I like this style band because it's relatively inexpensive, incredibly versatile, and pretty durable. I've had some of these bands for nearly 10 years, and they're still going strong. Throughout the video and for most exercises, I'll be connecting my bands to my Power Rack's uprights. And again, for anyone who's new to lifting, all I'm doing is looping the band in on itself, and I could also do this over my Powertec Smith machine. The thing about bands is they don't provide a lot of resistance in the stretch position, but they get harder as you move through the repetition. The best way I have found to negate that is to reach failure on an exercise and then work in partials in that stretch position, and the pumps that come along with that are insane. I think one of the best reasons to have a functional trainer are pec flies. And if I just grabbed the bands, this wouldn't feel that great, but because I have the revolving D handles attached to the bands, it makes the movement very fluid and really feel a lot more like having a functional trainer. To make any exercise more difficult, I could just step further away from the connection point, or as you see here, I've added a second band. I can do a lot more than a high to low fly. I can do horizontal flies. I have the J-cups on the uprights and the bands around those just so the bands don't slide down. Look at that stretch. And if I want, I can do a chest press from here. I also really like low to high flies, and again, I have the bands wrapped around the J-cups so the bands don't slide up the uprights. One of the exercises that I used to like to do on the Powertec Streamline functional trainer was what I called lat pull-ins, and this is a pretty decent replacement. I have the Olympic bar weighing me down, and I have the Powertec FID bench in the decline position so I can get a full range of motion. And when I reach failure, I just work in some partials. And I can already feel my lats getting an amazing pump from this exercise. I have to include one of my all-time favorite exercises, the chest supported row. Here I have 130 pounds worth of dumbbells in front of the bench so it doesn't slide forward, and I have bigger carabiners on my D handles just because I have a thicker band wrapped around that Olympic bar and I don't want to nick my bands. Each arm is working independently of the other, and I can go with a palm up grip, a neutral grip, or an overhand grip, depending on which area of my back I want to work. This is a Y raise. I have the band wrapped around the battle rope attachment, and this is a phenomenal exercise for the rear delts and traps. If I simply spin around, I have a great behind the back lateral raise variation and a stretched bicep curl. What was one of my favorite exercises to perform on the Powertec Streamline functional trainer are these chest supported crossover reverse flies. And again, once I reach failure, I just work in those partials and the pumps are amazing. I had 2 exercises that were absolute staples when I had the Powertec Streamline functional trainer. One of those was the supine lateral raise, and this is a surprisingly good alternative to that exercise. And the other staple that I performed at least once a week is this crossover tricep pushdown. This is a very good alternative to having that functional trainer. Another great tricep exercise is just a traditional pushdown, and here I have the Porter Phys Ed Eclipse grips connected into the band, and rather than looping the band in on itself, I just have the grips connected into each end of the band. And I could also simply turn around for a really good overhead tricep extension. I don't want to forget standing neutral grip pullovers. Here's another pretty good pullover variation. I'm using what I've always referred to as the bat bar, but it's a revolving curl bar from Power Systems. And while I'm thinking about it, another word of caution, I need to be extremely careful that I don't accidentally let go of any of these attachments while a band is attached to them, because I might put a hole in my wall or nail myself in the head. I am getting some massive pumps from some of these exercises that I'm doing. For example, that supine pullover, I feel it in my lats big time. Over on my Powertec lat machine, I do a lot of back supported pullovers. as well as back supported tricep pushdowns. Here's an ab exercise that I've done over on the Powertec lat machine using a tricep rope. I'm doing my best to only show exercises that I've recently worked into my routine or that are presently a part of my strength training routine. Here's a prone leg curl variation that you may have seen me recently do over on the Powertec lat machine. I have the Powertec belt squat belt around my ankles, and it takes very little band resistance for this exercise. This isn't an exercise that I have to do anymore because I have my belt squat machine in front of me and I have my loading pin set up, but there was a time when this was my first belt squat option. And it is decent, but you need to be careful because the heavier you go, the harder it is to get in position. Right now I have 2 orange bands from Elite FTS, and I have a big carabiner on here so that I can connect more bands into that rather than one of the small carabiners. I just added a 3rd band. There is a vertical line of drive here, so it is somewhat similar to my loading pin belt squat and a belt squat machine. This could be good for someone who is a beginner, someone who's not extremely strong, or for someone who's rehabbing, or for someone who just wants to see what it feels like to perform a belt squat exercise with a vertical line of drive. And then if you like it, and if you feel it working your quads, it may be worth buying a more expensive machine. But this matches the muscle's natural strength profile, so it's easier down here where I'm weakest. And then as I get stronger in the movement, the bands create more tension. When I'm done, just simply step down and then disconnect. Here's a closer look how I set this up. I have the bands running from band peg to band peg, 12-inch plyo boxes from Yes for All, my Rogue multi-belt, and it is extremely important that the rack is weighed down with a lot of weight. Because I'm gearing this video more towards beginners, I want to show a couple of additional exercises that I've done over the years, but these aren't anything new. I have the band wrapped around the dip bar just for easy access, wrap it around my neck, and this gives me resistance in the top of the dip. I normally use a dip belt for this, but this is another option for anybody who doesn't have a dip belt. Just like on the previous exercise, I'm using the band pegs to connect the bands, but here I've added a second band, and rather than connecting around the back of my neck, I'm going to connect around my shoulders because I'm going to need more resistance for this exercise. And this is just simply a banded calf raise. And I'm sure most people have seen the band assisted pull-up, but I will include it just in case you're brand new to lifting. This could be good for someone who's trying to improve their pull-up game, someone who is rehabbing, or if you've reached failure on normal pull-ups and just want to extend the set. As I mentioned at the beginning, this video is a little different than what I normally do, but I hope it was helpful. If so, please consider liking the video, leaving a comment, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Also, if you purchase a Powertec product, please consider using my one and only equipment company affiliate link. That link can be found in the description of this video, and I might have it tagged in the comments. It helps me out, but way more importantly than that, it lets Powertec know that I'm helpful to their brand. I'll also have some of the stuff that I've used in this video linked in my Amazon affiliate store. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.